Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video, we're going to go over some of the recent changes that have happened on the PTR. It looks like the PTR is getting a lot more lively, and a lot more class updates are heading that direction before they are even hitting the beta. I mean, the pre-patch should be here this Tuesday, unless for whatever reason that gets pushed back, which I hope it doesn't, as like you, I'm tired of corruptions. But we got ourselves some updates for us to take a look at. So if you are guys going to be playing out in PTR and are trying to determine what main you might want to play going into Shadowlands, take a look at some of these buffs and nerfs to a variety of classes might be something for you to consider going forward. Want to take a look at how it might affect your gameplay in terms of the power struggle, and it seems that Blizzard in this update wanted to help out certain specs that are just generally not that good numbers wise in terms of PvE. But let's take a look at these updates first. First update is going to be with the Fury Warrior, as we are seeing the whole spec through the board just get buffed on a variety of abilities, everything but Rampage. Not only are we seeing a Bloodthirst, Rage and Blow and Whirlwind increase, but we're also seeing a Single-Minded Fury increase. I wonder if this is because Single-Minded Fury has been lagging behind the two-hand playstyle, but that's only speculation. Overall, I'm happy to see that Blizzard is at least still considering Single-Minded Fury, and I'm glad seeing that these buffs are happening. In fact, Single-Minded Fury got buffed a couple times. It used to be 8% damage increase, but now it's up to 12. And I wonder how good this is going to be in PTR, or really just in pre-patch, because the idea of playing a Fury Warrior while wielding the Artifact Weapon one-hander from Artifact Weapon Prot Warrior Legion Challenge skin, while you have those flails, I think wielding flails and spinning them around in Whirlwind would be super fun once pre-patch comes as a Fury Warrior. Also, Feral Druids got recently updated as well, not in specific abilities but rather the aura. The aura doesn't encompass every single ability. There's a set amount of abilities, and the aura is a little bit of a complicated math equation to figure out whether the spec really is seeing buffs and nerfs. But certain abilities for Feral Druids, minus the auto attacks and minus the spells not included into the list, have been buffed by about 5%, so certain abilities are buffed slightly. This isn't a massive change, and it looks like Blizzard is more or less satisfied, at least for Ferals going into PTR, in terms of the breakdown of their abilities. So they're simply just buffing it overall so you have better numbers without really offsetting the performance of how much percent of your abilities are going to be X or Y. So for Ferals that are looking to PvP in Shadowlands, I think when it comes to abilities like Bites and Shreds, I think you're going to be pretty happy on that one. Also, Fire Mages have gotten a buff. This one in particular, there are certain abilities that have gotten slightly adjusted from Fire Blast, Fireball, Flame Strike, and Pyroblast. So every aspect of the Mage, minus your, well, I guess your Mastery technically would be included, since your Mastery will take the damage of all those abilities. So in a sense, it's going to have a bit of a shockwave effect. Very small buffs in general, but Fire has been a spec that's been kind of lagging behind. Not a lot of people on the beta have really been playing it. It's a lot of Frost Mage and maybe some Arcane here and there, and I kind of miss seeing Fire Mages. I mean, I know in BFA they were literally everywhere, but I didn't really want them to be called out of an extinction. So hopefully this buff at least helps those that want to play Fire going into Shadowlands be a little bit more happy with their spec. Now let's talk about some of the nerfs. First of all, Frost Death Knight two-hander playstyle in particular has got a few changes. Might of the Frozen Wastes, I guess, was a little bit too strong, and even the ability Obliterate for the two-hand playstyle was a little bit much. I suspect a lot of Death Knights on the beta either went Ice Cap playstyle or Obliteration playstyle, so they could maintain and use the ability of Pillar Frost as much as possible to really amp up the big Obliterate damage. So obviously this is going to be a nerf to the two-hand playstyle, but also the dual wield seems to get hit as well. There's also an interesting change with Pillar of Frost getting a shorter duration, so you won't really be able to build up the power and get as many Obliterates or whatever abilities you would use during Pillar of Frost, but also it changes cooldown to a minute. Now on pre-patch this is going to work out pretty well, because Pillar of Frost is a minute, your Rune Power weapon is 2 minutes, so they'll be able to sing together, the next minute separately, the next minute together, the next minute separately. But going into Shadowlands, your runic weapon will be 1.8 minute CD. So you'll have more of this desync that current Frost DK kind of experiences, which maybe Blizzard can alter it in the future, but it is going to feel okay for pre-patch, but then kind of weird down the line. But it's not even the only change available to Death Knights. Also, Death Knights in general have gotten a change where now you'll get a debuff called Off Balance if you decide to swap your weapons mid-combat. your weapons come with runes, and runes can change your playstyle quite a bit. There's quite a lot of good runes like Rune of Sanguination, which gives you a cheat death element. When you get low enough on health, your weapon rune will proc, giving you a massive heal over time, which Death Knights could use maybe in PvP or in PvE. If they know they're going to be dropping very low on health, swap to a weapon with Rune Sanguination, proc the effect, swap back to the normal weapon. Blizzard wanted to add off balance to maybe make Death Knights that want to play two-hand playstyle with Obliterate less likely to want to swap weapons, build up Razor Eye stacks, then swap back to another weapon, and then maintain the rest of their damage and swap in from time to maintain Razor Eyes, which is a core advantage of playing dual wield Death Knight, which gives you a little bit extra frost damage to the target that you debuff. So off balance is going to give you now a 30-second debuff where you cannot benefit from effects of other abilities. This will be a very interesting change going forward, and I wonder if they'll implement it to other classes. I really hope not, and I hope that maybe Death Knight will be a special case, but we'll just have to see and monitor how this change goes forward. I really do want to hear your guys' opinions if you're a Death Knight about this change and what you think about it. The other class that got hit with the nerf was Outlaw Rogues on the Blade Flurry on-use effect. This isn't something we'll be able to actually play around with in pre-patch, but when we get into higher levels, your Blade Flurry active effect will now do damage to any enemies once you activate this ability. For 15 energy, this ability was actually worth using in single target. It was just worth the damage. Going to Shadowlands, we also have a conduit where activating Blade Flurry gives us extra mastery. So hitting Blade Flurry for the damage and then getting free mastery on top of it, or free extra chances for mastery, which is what the game changer is for Outlaw, was just worth it and kind of worked well together. I kind of doubt it as an Outlaw Rogue main that Blade Flurry on use hit will be that much worse. It is ability capped anyway, and I think it's just Blizzard trying to really nerf it so that you're not always inclined to always want to press Blade Flurry, let's say on a boss fight, when it's meant to be an AoE ability, which made certain bosses when trash come out a little bit like, okay, do you want to press it now to get free damage or press it for the ads, which is when you really should. So I think that'll just solve a little bit of issue of that. However, we'll go with the conduit forward, we'll most likely still be pressing the ability. So I wonder if that'll fix anything. I think maybe this is just a balance tuning and Blizzard feeling that like this ability may be way too much single target damage. But in AoE, I still think we'll be A-okay as Outlaw. Oh, also, Roll the Bones got slightly nerfed in energy needed to use the ability, which I'm a huge fan of. It's very interesting to see that we're getting continuous changes, and it's fair to say that these changes on pre-patch will most likely appear in the next Wednesday update for the beta, as there usually is one. So all these changes are eventually going to be made to the beta. I doubt the Blizzard is going to be trying to balance PTR and beta super heavily separately. It is also interesting to see what other changes we might get in the future. I do wonder if we'll get some surprises of certain specs that are generally, let's say, not that good, massive rework or massive damage increase in general, or something along those lines. As of right now, we have nothing conclusive on the release of Shadowlands, so I do wonder if, as the pre-patch releases, if it might be able to get some sort of a date. There's already speculation about November, and maybe I'll make a separate video talking about when could potentially be the next release, or the release. I guess it never really got released in the first place. When might Shadowlands actually get released? But that's a topic for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.